Oh, yeah. Hey. Oh, geez. What a night tonight we got. It is ROH, Death Before Dishonor. And oh man, do I have a dishonorable person with me on the show tonight. As always, my degenerate, dishonorable, piece of shit brother, Marcus DeAngelo. Marcus, wow, of ad-free shows. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dominic, of ad-free shows or Podcast Heat or
Wherever
Wrestling
the
Inc.,
fuck I am.
MLW. Pick one there, bub.
Just shake it in a hat and see what
Just
pops up.
fucking pick a lane already. Steven Chambers, what's up? Hey everybody. Glad to be back. When was the last time? We missed last week, didn't
We
we?
missed last week.
That was literally all because of you, though. I was ready to go, and then
Marcus, stuff happened, and then it just happened.
yeah,
So hey,
Dom was an idiot, asshole,
I was a moron.
butthead.
But
go ahead.
listen, I wasn't a moron on the Death Before Dishonor press conference. Me, Tony Khan, rubbed some elbows, and I wanted to get. Have you heard this yet, Marcus? Have you heard this?
Please fill me in.
Okay, well, I have the clip here, so it's very intuitive. I was really happy with the question I asked, and I feel like I really hammered a lot of points home with it. And what I wanted to get across, I thought I conveyed. So I'll play the clip, okay?
All right, you're really digressing. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's play it.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Tony. And to bring us home, we have Dom DeAngelo from Podcast Heat. Dom, you're up. You're the last one.
Okay.
Hello, Dom.
Yep.
I can't get Dom unmuted.
Okay.
Well, what'd you think of that?
Boy, that was riveting, Dominic. Really well done. Very professional.
I thought so.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure Tony was impressed.
I'm sure I really wowed everybody. Jim Cornette, who's been critical of those media scrums, I think I really hit the point there.
Wow, yeah, really is some
power.
Well, I'll tell you what, journalism isn't always easy, but you certainly make it seem easy.
Yeah, if you get a bunch of journalists in the room, whether they're actual journalists or not, you're up for a party. You're up for a good time. Okay.
So Dom, what the fuck happened there? Was that your fault? Was it a technical issue?
Listen, I do not want to push blame on anybody. I will say I downloaded the app. The app was on my computer. I initially had it on my phone. Got a little concerned about the phone, so I was like, listen, I'm gonna go with the computer. Trust in the massive meat of technology that's in front of me. So I had it on initially too. The little hand that you have in the corner, it's green and it looks up, so it looks like you're on, right? It looks like you're ready to go. Well, here, the hand needs to be on red. If you click it on red, that means your hand is raised and you can put it back down to make it red. So that really confused me. Anyways, I got the last question on there. I was ready to roll. Had my headphones in. Had the stuff go. All I had to do was wait for the organizer to unmute me. Some miscommunication or something weird happened, and it still said the organizer muted me, and I could not speak, and I was not unmuted. So,
well, you're really fading the heat there, Dominic.
I felt like the episode of Bob's Burgers where he goes to the baseball game and he wants to get his burger joint plugged. And
yes, Gene couldn't remember the name.
Gene can't remember the name, and he's like, Bob's Burgers! Bob's Burgers! I felt like that. I felt like Bob Burgers.
That sucks, man. But hey, you'll get another shot. I'm sure Tony Khan only hates you a little bit following that.
Yeah, only a little bit. I have a dislikable face, and now with the mustache, it's probably even a little bit more dislikable. So,
wait a minute. Stephen Chambers, possibly breaking news here.
Oh, what's going
Tully
on?
Blanchard. Maybe I didn't watch enough of the program, or I was working while I watched it. Tully Blanchard sold his whole faction to a manager named Prince Nana.
Prince Nana. That's he's originally from ROH.
And now they're the embassy. Wait a minute. Is the pay-per-view going on right now?
It's the preliminary matches. So yeah, we picked the right time to do it.
Got it.
Do the pay-per-view preview.
Hey,
right as the pay-per-view's going on.
Tully Blanchard on my TV in any capacity, I'd co-sign.
Well, that might be he was there, Marcus. I don't know, like he was their manager. Now it sounds like he's not.
Right, but is this like Stephen Phillison? Did he sell and walk away? Did he even make an appearance?
Oh, Tully was there, I bet. Yeah, he was there last night on Rampage or Friday night on Rampage. Wait, what is today? Saturday? Yeah. So he was like,
I like Tully Blanchard a lot, so I'm hopeful that him and Arn and Jake and all these kind of legacy guys are going to get a little bit of a larger role.
well, the thing is like he has like we have barely have seen Tully Blanchard since he left FTR, and then maybe he just doesn't want to do it at this point. I don't know. Like,
Who knows? I mean, it's when's the last time we saw Arn? When's the last time we saw Jake?
Yeah, it's true.
It's been a minute.
Jeez, oh man, Nesha, we got great timing. We're really good at all this, picking the times and everything like that. Initially, I wanted to start this at 7 p.m., but Mark is like, "Can we do 7:30?" And hey, I have been pure scum when it comes to scheduling these, so I was like, "Yeah, we can do 7:30. Let's do 7:30."
I mean, pure scum in general, really.
Yeah.
Well, Dom, let's dive into this. It's we listened to you pat yourself on the back because you're a great job with the press conference. So
I did a good job.
just,
yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to hear it again, I can play it again for you if you want.
God, no. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and keep on rolling, baby.
Well, we'll just talk about a little bit of Dynamite here before we kind of touch on some of the main matches of Ring of Honor. Dynamite. How much did you watch? Did you get to check any of it out? Where are you sitting on this, Mark?
I was working while I watched it, but I caught enough of it to be impressed with the Darby Allin Brody King situation. Yeah, that was one of those matches where ordinarily I'll fast forward through the commercial break, but because I'll wait a little bit and then watch it after it's recorded a bit so I can fast forward through the breaks. But with that, I was like, I don't know, I kind of want to watch the picture in picture with this. He was just ragdolling Darby Allin. It feels like I'm glad that Darby Allin took the L because now he's kind of fighting from underneath if he continues working against members of this faction.
I was very happy to see Brody King win. I think, in a lot of ways right now, Darby Allin can be Teflon. He's somebody that can take a loss and still bounce back from because he's a scrappy dude and he's proved that he's able to be a champion at this point, like, TNT and all that stuff and be at the top of the card in main event if needed too, I think. So Brody King getting a win means a lot more for Brody King winning than it would be for Darby Allin winning. So I was definitely happy. It was a pleasant surprise, actually, to see that happen. So,
Dominic, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, Isam Walker is saying, without Cody, Arn really has no purpose. I don't know. I disagree. I think that Arn adds a lot of value to the product. I think that you could probably pair him with some. I mean, obviously he's got Brock Anderson. I think that that's entertaining in and of itself. Just Brock and Arn coming out there and Brock is like kind of trying to work his way up to his dad. I mean, that's a storyline, really, if you think about it. Maybe Brock trying to work his way out of his dad's shadow, but with his dad's coaching. I don't know. I just think it's really interesting, and I also think that one of the things that I really, really liked about AEW whenever it first started was the fact that they do pay attention to legacy talent and they do respect legacy talent. So him and Jake, he's saying, and Jake needs his own stable so he can be out there even when Archer isn't there. I mean, Dom, I could see Jake as being a part of House of Black. That would
be kind of cool. I could see him. Who was teasing a little bit of like a darkness guy? Who? Okay, this is pretty good. So we'll get to this match later on, but Brian Pillman Jr. has kind of expressed like, oh man, just things are kind of iffy with Varsity Blondes. He likes to run, but he wants to show more of a darker side, things like that. Pairing Brian Pillman up with Jake Roberts and Lance Archer might be pretty damn cool.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I do know this. I think that, as much as I enjoyed the Brody King and Darby Allin match, could it on paper have been enhanced more if Jake the Snake was at ringside? I think it could have.
Yeah. And you know what? Having Jake there, I think Aleister Black's Malachi Black is pretty damn decent on the mic, but I think getting Jake involved in that mix could add another layer to that for sure. You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, you want to talk about being able to find that interesting dark place kind of in your mind. Jake was really the master of that on the mic. So, I mean, yeah, I think that could have been cool. And yeah, like I said, like seeing him ringside with one of those guys or all of those guys anytime they come out, I think it's good stuff.
Yeah. No, you want to see, I think, wrestling's at its best when it's a variety show, and I think from a variety standpoint, you need a little bit more of some of that legacy talent mixed in. Now we did get that with Sting staring down with Malachi Black and all that stuff, which I think is fucking awesome. I think that's kind of my favorite thing right now with AEW is that.
Yeah, I mean, I there's value there for sure. I wonder where it's going to go. Is Sting going to wind up having a match against him? Is it going to wind up being like a triples match, which is probably the way it's going to go, like Sting, Darby, and somebody. Yeah. So,
or Buddy Matthews is hurt, I think, right now, so it could just be
Sting and Darby.
Brody King and Sting and Darby.
Yeah, I was going to ask where Buddy Matthews has been. I haven't seen him in forever.
He's hurt, and I tell you what, there's a lot of people hurt. That's not the question I was going to ask Tony Khan. So the question I was going to ask, if my mic got unmuted, or if technology became my friend.
If you had been smarter at the time, go ahead.
Yes, all of the above. I'll admit that. But I think my question was going to be, hey, so we have a big roster. You guys have a big roster and a lot of talent to work with Death of Dishonor coming up, or Before Dishonor here. What would you think to highlight certain talents and make them feel more important? A lot of talent gets lost in the shuffle. Are you concerned with that? And where would you go with it? And that's kind of what I was going to go with. That was going to be my question.
I feel like you're really ruminating on this press conference situation.
I really harped on it.
I've got to be honest with you. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to go on a limb and say nobody in this chat gives a fuck about you and your press conference. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's just go ahead and talk some Dynamite. Okay. Nesha is saying, is Jericho in Kingston finally done? I hope so.
They kind of put a pin on it, I think. You know what I mean? It's like Jericho won, but Eddie threw him through that fucking barbed wire gimmick thing at the end. So that you can kind of write it off, right?
I didn't really like that. He got thrown through the barbed wire gimmick. I think that that felt like a compromise. Like, okay, well, Jericho needs his win back after Eddie beat him. So let's give Jericho his win back, but we'll keep Eddie strong by throwing Jericho, into barbed wire. It's like they were doing barbed wire stuff all match. Okay, so we saw it. Here's how you keep Eddie Kingston strong: is make him the guy that Jericho just can't fucking beat.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, again, mentioning Darby Allin, I think Jericho's even more Teflon than Darby Allin is at this juncture. Like, you can have him loose,
right? And
then you can have him, and if Eddie's the world beater, and then Jericho gets some big ass wins after that, but you couldn't beat Eddie Kingston. And friend of the show, by the way.
Friend of the show. That's how you kind of build people and make interesting angles. Is like, holy shit, Eddie Kingston, Jericho can't beat him. Then you have Eddie Kingston maybe go on a little win streak, and next thing you know, it's like, okay, right now, Eddie Kingston versus Wardlow, you're like, oh, Wardlow's winning. But if you build Eddie Kingston enough and make it just seem like, geez, this guy with his fucking back fist and his ruthlessness.
And if you get Eddie already has like big fan heat going, so if you get that building up, right? You just keep going and going. I would kick that can down the road for the next like 4 or 5 months, and then it's like, hey, he's gonna come up against Wardlow. You continue to establish him, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, if he's gonna face Wardlow, who goes over? Because Eddie's been unstoppable, Wardlow's been unstoppable. You know what I mean? It's just to me, it's you have him beat Jericho, and then you have him continue. It's how you build a new star. I know this might seem kind of jumping ahead, but I want to get your perspective immediately. Like,
John, what's up?
What's up, John? What's up, everybody? If you guys got
everybody, Stan, Steve,
throw them on out here. Throw these questions out here. We're ready to answer.
Oh man, hopefully Dominic's mic will work and we'll be able to answer any question you have.
I'm not muted. Marcus is just fucking placating me this whole time. But what I wanted to ask overall, what did you think of Dynamite as a presentation this week? Like,
well, it's they're Tony Khan's doesn't have a full deck of cards to play with here, right? With all the injuries, so given that, it was great.
Okay, you were all for it, huh?
Yeah, no, I think he did a good job. Remind me of what else was on the card, and I can. Oh wait, the shark cage situation. During that whole thing, we can talk about that. So there were some cutaways and stuff, and there was a little confusion. Steven Chambers, I like where your head's at. We'll address that in a second. some cutaways and confusion. Was it that Taya could not get the Ty Conti? She couldn't get the lock undone, and the guys wound up just sliding out of the cage. So
that's like
that doesn't do much. That doesn't do much for the cage.
Where you see the jail cell, and you're like, those guys, that cartoon could go just totally walk out of there if you want.
It just completely like, so I understand the urgency where they're like, Jesus, we got to get to the ring and do this thing, just slide out of there. But it's the minute that they all come pouring out of the sides like it's a clown car. It's like, why were you waiting for her to unlock it in the first place?
Maybe they think they couldn't get, maybe just depth perception was bad.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, they're sports entertainers. I don't think depth perception kind of ties in with that. Maybe if you're more on the technical side of things of wrestling, you'd be able to get through that.
I'll tell you, I wasn't crazy about it. kind of shattered the illusion. I understand that, there's a time limit and we've got to get this thing done, but it's like, man,
honestly, if you gotta rehearse that. If you're gonna,
at the very least, I'd be like trying to make it look like I'm spreading the bars, or tell a guy like, hey, you get on that side. Yeah, like you get a guy on the other side and you're right. It just, even if you can create like a quarter inch, like, oh man, that quarter inch, finally I'm able to squeeze it, like something to help us suspend disbelief.
Was Hager in there?
Huh?
Was Hager in there?
Yeah. Okay,
get Hager to do that. He could do that, right?
Do some Superman shit and just spread them bars.
Spread them bars. Yeah, I mean, like, people really shitting on that match on Twitter.
Scott Hoof doesn't like it.
Well, yeah, but I didn't think it was like the worst match in AEW history. Was I a huge fan of it? Not really, but there was some spots that were just like, did you see that chair spot that Jericho happened?
Oh, that was scary. As we're talking about this, I'm remembering more and more of that match that I watched, and yeah, a lot of that match stunk.
Was, and like some of the, I mean, when you do those kind of matches, you kind of have to really embrace it, and in certain aspects they did, but there was some stuff where it's just like, you're not putting all into it. I understand why you're not doing it, why you aren't fully hitting him with the chair like that, but why have it then if you're gonna do it that way? You know what I mean? So it's like, let's reward on that. And hey, let's be forthright here too. AEW has done a lot of these bloody barbed wire, hardcore death match things on the regular, a little too much. And
so look, the match stunk, but honestly, I go into those types of like it wasn't like I was watching it like, what the fuck? Like, I go into these kind of bloody matches where I'm just like, this match is probably not going to be great. As ordinarily they're not. Ordinarily it's just like a big gore fest, and it's the pro wrestling equivalent of going to one of the Saw movies, right? You're not going there for the storyline. You're going there to see some gory, fucked up shit. I don't know. Happen.
I saw am I weird that I was kind of like intrigued by the story more so than all the gore and violence in it?
The story. So maybe Saw 1. You're like, hey, I can really get behind this story.
I never saw Saw 1. I only saw 2, and then the rest going forward.
Well, if you saw Saw 2, Saw 5, Saw 8, Saw 30, it's all the same, Dom. Somebody's got some people trapped. He's fucking with them. He's making them do terrible things.
Let's play.
Yeah. So those barbed wire matches are. I see the entertainment value, but it's the pro wrestling equivalent of eating junk food.
I thought there were some good aspects about this episode. And we'll touch upon those. I thought some of it showed a little bit of wear and tear of how AEW handles some things, and a little bit of sporadicy. I know that's probably not a word, and I'm supposed to be a little sporadic, if you will.
Yeah.
And there was just some like holes in the chinks in the armor, if you will. So I think, there's some stuff that kind of needed a little bit tightened up, and a little bit like the segment that I was not a fan of was Dark Order backstage with Hangman Page. That did not hit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I did not see that part. Fill me in.
So, so Butcher and Blade are backstage. So are John Silver and Andrew Reynolds. That's his name, right? Alex Reynolds. I'm sorry, geez, Alex Reynolds.
Mhm.
And so they present, hey, John Silver's a meat man. He loves meat. So Butcher's one of his favorite wrestlers, he says. So he presents him with a shirt that says Butcher. And like Butcher Blade are like, what the fuck is this kind of thing? And then Alex is like, oh, we got you a shirt too, Blade. It says, and he's like, oh, this says Butch too on it. And then Butcher and Blade start beating the shit out of him. And then here comes Hangman Page in for the save. This is all backstage and stuff like that. It just did not land well.
I mean, if you kind of think about it, who's the heel in this? Because like, you've got the funny guys who aren't very funny, and they're kind of like sort of picking a fight with these guys. And after they do, and these guys are like, hey, fuck these two, they're coming up here trying to make fun of us. Then Hangman Page is like, hey, who's beating up my little band member friends? And then it's weird, dude. It's weird, and it's like it's thrown together. Feels like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Hey guys, I know we're supposed to be on top of what's going on with Ring of Honor and stuff like that, but I don't. To be further, I don't have the pay-per-view right now. So if you want to keep me updated if anything big changes, let me know and we can talk about that too.
Yeah, dude, talk to us. So Dom, earlier Stephen Chambers said.
Oh yes, let me pull this up. I saw what he said.
Where the fuck is it?
I think it's no, that's not it yet. Looking here. Here we go. Boom.
There it is.
Why don't you read it, Mark?
Kingston versus Claudio. They have some issues in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the kind of stuff that even Eric Bischoff put that kind of thing over, where he was saying like the fact, like I don't need to know that they had the past, but this was in reference to Eddie Kingston and CM Punk. Where they were kind of judging up, that they have a history together. Sure. And Bischoff's like, in a nutshell, like I don't need to know that they have a past, but if you tell me about it and then you kind of start giving me some background on it, kind of like little bits here and there, all of a sudden it's like the story's kind of starting to suck me in, where you're creating interest and you're creating like this long-term storytelling between these two. And I think that the same thing could be done for Claudio and Eddie Kingston.
Oh, 100%. Like I looked into their history with Chikara, and Claudio was the heel in that, and Eddie was the defending champion, and all that thing, and it's really intriguing stuff. And Eddie, like that's the cool thing about Eddie, and that's why people like Eddie so much, is that he's like authentic, and he'll keep true to like past feuds and ties and all that stuff, where it's like he adds that extra layer for fans that want to pay attention or that interested.
And so, Dominic, when we had Eddie Kingston on the show here, friend of the program,
yes,
I brought up Claudio Castagnoli to him when I was talking about like some of the big names that he's faced in the indies in the past. When I did, he very evident, very clear eye roll situation,
yes.
Right? Like annoyed by the idea of Claudio Castagnoli. So like, here's the thing. If they start this feud down the road, we can go ahead and dig that up and fire it over to Tony Khan and be like, hey, man, put this in the old video package.
You know what? You throw that in there,
Yeah. Hey, you remember me? I'm the guy who couldn't get my mic to work during that press conference.
Yeah, remember me? I'm that guy. I'm that guy that that kind of fucks a lot of things up when opportunities arise.
Stephen Chambers on fire right now. He just asked, where are they going with Hangman? Are they keeping him back whenever Omega comes back to see the rematch, or is he trying to be the leader of the Dark Order? What is going on? That's a big question here.
Well, Marcus, okay, well, let me start with this here then. If you bring when Omega is healthy to return, which is rumored to be around All Out, maybe that's the projected date. Who knows though? Would you bring him back as a heel or a babyface?
You have to bring him back as a babyface because he's going to be a babyface because the crowd it wants to see him. He's been gone for so long.
There's your answer right there. You pair those two up again. Have them be buddies. They don't necessarily have to be a tag team because we saw that already.
Or a heel turn for Hangman.
Motherfucking finish here.
No, okay. Please, by all means, yeah.
So,
hey Dom, your mic isn't working. Could you repeat that?
I know.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. You don't necessarily have to pair these up as a tag team anymore, but they're friends. They look out for one another, much like a Mox and an Eddie Kingston did at one point. So I think you can definitely do that. That's a good way to charge up Hangman. Issue is here's where I would go with Hangman. Here's where I would go. I would put him on ROH. I know you have a you got to work out a TV deal. That's pretty important. Getting the TV deal done and all that stuff. But a change of scenery and vying for a different world championship, I think makes plenty of sense for Hangman Page. And you can kind of reestablish him too in that regard. I mean, him with Dark Order, I get it, but it's also, we've been here. Okay, we've been here. So it's kind of where I feel about any other thoughts about Hangman on that?
I mean, Kenny Omega comes back. He's a babyface. So, yes, your options are you team them up, or, and this is kind of the one that I like better, you turn Hangman heel.
Okay.
And honestly, I could see him turning heel by absolutely destroying the members of the Dark Order at some point. When he's like maybe supposed to be like helping them out or whatever.
He's the one who kills the Dark Order.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's have him come out and maybe he's
involved in. He ends it.
That's what I'm saying. You have him come out and with like some kind of a big tag match as like their guy to help him out, then just have him beat the fuck out of all of them. Mm-hmm. And then let's get rid of the Dark Order, repackage some of these guys.
That's the guy who ended the Dark Order.
Yep.
I like it, Marcus.
I think it's the way, Dom.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah. Plus, enough of this pairing him with people, or he's got to have a buddy or factions or what. Make him this cowboy. Make him Clint Eastwood. This solo horse rider.
Eli Wallach. Make him
yes. Let's. There's not enough of that, and that's the kind of personality that gets over.
Hey, you know what? Too, William Regal on his podcast, Gentleman Villain. One thing he said is pulling from outside of wrestling. And he said, like, he's seen so many carbon copies of wrestlers that come into the business starting off because they're just going by, hey, I want to be like Dexter or Walter White or like somebody on this current television program. Everybody likes Steve from Stranger Things. I want to be like Steve. Well, here, Regal's like, don't pick from that stuff. Pick from stuff like outside, way outside, and everything like that. And it does, and you can create something that's very, very interesting instead of something that we're all used to seeing at this point. And you want to be original. Originality is key in wrestling. And like if you're really like boiling it down to like the nuts and bolts of everything, like nothing is gonna be your own creation. You're gonna pattern it off something. But that's fine. Wrestling steals from everybody, but you got to make it your own. That's the key. And so,
who is the dude, the new guy who looks like a young guy? I think he was maybe involved with WWE in some capacity.
Yeah, you're talking about Two Dimes. Cole Carter is his name now. Yes. I already forgot what his name was in fucking. And we're part of the DeAngelo family.
So you talking about him, or rather, you talking about lack of originality? And look, he's a young guy, and I think that like he's got the tools. Good-looking kid. It seems like he's a good worker.
Has a good presence. He looks great.
Yep. But like, as he's walking down to the ring, he's doing that classic wrestler, like smiling. And then like, he's pointing to somebody, off the ramp, like, yep, there's the guy. But it's like, I guarantee that guy didn't say anything or do anything specific to elicit that reaction, right? You're just doing that because it's like one of those movements that you do as a wrestler when you're feeling uncomfortable and you're walking out like, here's that guy. And hey, I know. Oh yeah, yeah. Right. It's like I know. I just know that if I were backstage and I saw that guy afterwards, I would be like, you need to think about like the guys that you like in wrestling. How would they behave? Would they do that? So like The Rock. You ever see it? I mean, Babyface Rock did that. Rocky Maivia, when he first came around, he was doing the whole like, and like big smile stuff. But like, let's say he likes Stone Cold. Stone Cold ever do that? Undertaker?
Dude, fucking great. I know this is off topic too, but listen, I transcribed an interview for WrestlingInc.com with Stone Cold. He talked to Bill after. He was talking about like how he was like, flipping off fans and stuff like that. And the whole hand signal thing was really catching in. So like, DDP had the diamond cutter and blah, blah, and all that stuff. Vince McMahon wanted Stone Cold to come up with his own hand signal. And he was like, no. And he just kept doing the middle fingers.
Yeah, I was going to say he did. It was the middle finger.
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not changing it. He wanted something different than middle fingers. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. But
Stephen Chambers, what happened between Claudio and Gresham? opening match. It says
What?
he's saying wow. Maybe it's still going on.
Yeah, it's probably still going on. What?
Oh, he's just saying wow because it's the opening match.
Yeah, that's why I'm wowing too.
Well,
What are you closing the show with?
Maybe probably FTR. What
maybe
a
that.
banger of a way to open up the show, though.
Tell you what, that's the world title right there.
Right. Well, and Isam Walker, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. He's saying that Jim Ross trying hard to sell him as a badass. I think he's referring to Hangman. But with Brody King and Miro and Wardlow, he's really not an ass kicker. They should just play off of his athleticism and love for drinking. Hate the drinking. I don't know if that's a strong way to present anybody, but I agree. There's some pretty big badass dudes, but look, Hangman Page is a big dude, and I think he's got the capability to come off like a badass, but not when he's like palling around with some goofballs.
I'm more with you on this heel turn too thing, because you can make him like a loner cowboy kind of thing,
right?
But you can also make him really manipulative
and make him like this ruthless dude.
Yeah, like Fish. Does not give a fuck, but will use people if need be. And
everybody likes Johnny Hungy. Make him do a stretcher job after Hangman Page just beats his ass.
Yeah, it's like you have plenty of people on the roster right now that you can send off or like put away for a couple months or things like that, and then bring them back if you want.
Guess what? You'll like them more when they come back. And I think that old Johnny Hungy could certainly do with a repackage.
How would you repackage him? I'm curious if you have something in mind or anything like that.
Something more serious.
Sure, yeah.
Because look, I like the guy's work. I like his look. I think he's got a unique look with his size, but the fact that he's such a big, bulky dude.
He's athletic. He does amazing shit.
Yes. So I see the potential, but it's like, look, man, you have found the dead end in the maze, and you just keep standing in the same corner with that gimmick, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going anywhere. Is it amusing? Maybe still a little bit at times. But will it be amusing 6 months from now?
It's like listening to a musical artist, like a lot of the times. Sometimes you do like you want them to stay true to themselves and what you grew up liking them. Like I think it's somebody like the Strokes, like one of my favorite bands and your favorite bands, is like, they play some songs that harken back to their first Is This It album,
mm-hmm.
But they also changed their sound and style and identity a little bit. Whether it hit or miss, it was still different and it was still intriguing. I mean, and as a Strokes fan, they've always kept me intrigued. So you want to see that not just with musical artists, but with creative artists in any aspect, and that includes pro wrestling. So Johnny's good at what he does. He's funny, but I think it's enough.
Well, look, it's the people say funny doesn't make money, and I don't know that I agree with that necessarily, because some funny gimmicks, work.
I think that's money too in a lot of ways.
But you have to change it, and you have to make alterations.
Mm-hmm.
Let's circle back to that, but first, Nesh is saying drinking worked for Stone Cold. It did. And look, some drinking I think can work. Like if you're cool drinking, like Stone Cold drank, you hit somebody with a finisher and then crush a beer. He did, but then he you mix that with the depressing drinking, and all of a sudden it's like once he does the cool drinking after that, you're like, wait a minute, isn't he like an alcoholic? That's less cool to watch him do that.
Yeah, he's sad.
Right.
He has no friends
because it appeared that he was struggling with alcohol, and then it's like, okay, so that makes it not fun to watch him drink ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So anyways, I digress. The funny stuff is, yes, I think that there's money in funny. I mean, you look at the stuff that Edge and Christian were doing in WWE. Yeah, they were fantastic. But here's the thing: is they kept doing different stuff. They changed it up. It wasn't the same thing week after week.
Yeah.
And
they had believability too. Like Edge was somebody, and Christian were somebody, like they were a good tag team. So like you believe that they could beat somebody too. They were they were jokers, but they were like heelish jokers that would get the win and manipulate or change or have Kurt Angle help them out or whatever happened, So yes, there's definitely room for comedy in wrestling. Like I said, it's a variety show, but you want to keep it fresh and keep it keep things going.
Dom, were you out on Orange Cassidy at this point? You and I
I'm
talked
still-
about
Now,
talked
here's
about
the
him
thing.
at length.
I think he's they're not putting him in the forefront as much as they should. Like, I liked him on commentary this week. Like, he very much added very little to commentary while he was on there with like William Regal and stuff like that. But you know, if you're making the best friends be more of these heelish, ruthless people, you have to get Orange Cassidy, I think, away from that. And I think you know, that should be maybe his next feud coming in. Orange Cassidy, I'm always on Orange Cassidy. I just think he's such like Jeff Hardy, an enigma, but in a different way, and that he really can reach out across a mainstream platform if positioned right. And so, yeah, I'm still for him, and I just think they need to do something a little more different with him. And maybe they're going to that part, but I think right now it's kind of in a purgatory that I'm just like, let's get him out of that. You know what I mean?
And look, I can see why so many people see the value in him, and I do too. But here's the issue: is you aren't giving him very much TV time anymore, which is, of course, you know, there's a lot of people on the roster.
That's a problem. Like, go ahead, finish your point, but I do want to touch upon that too.
But when you're doing that, here's what the issue really boils down to: is that because he's not getting much TV time, that means you can't really tell a story with him. And when you can't tell a story with him, that means that he's stuck doing the same shtick week after week, every time he comes out for a match. And so, like, we've seen it. We've seen the old chin super kick and the little kicks, and you stuff your hands in your pockets, and the camera zooms in. Like, we've seen. So here's the problem, though: is we need to see that shtick in different circumstances.
Yes.
For it to work. So if it's just the same thing and he comes out and he like puts somebody over afterwards or whatever it is, just this continual situation, it's not working.
Well, so I think, you know, they need to. I think it's okay, but I'm totally with you. I think he needs to be Orange Cassidy can be Orange Cassidy, but he has to be doing it in different circumstances. Like, you'd be like, oh man, that's kind of intriguing. What if he's going against the best friends, like Orange Cassidy against his old friends? That sounds pretty interesting. Or like, hey, what about Orange Cassidy versus like a crazy kind of gimmick and stuff like Malachi Black? But
that's what's interesting. So him and Best, like, we don't see much of Best Friends. So if he wrestles Best Friends, why do I care anymore?
Why do I care? Why do, like, maybe you want to get me interested in the Best Friends and Trent Beretta and his new, but to your point, into what I was wanting to talk about was the fucking TV time. I think that's such a, they're trying to fit everybody in on there, and they're trying to make it a variety show, but it's a lot of variety. It's too much variety. Like, it's too much trying to get everybody in on the program, where you really do just, okay, they have pillars, but you have to act like, and you know, they have their 4 pillars, 4 or whatever it is, but you need to have okay, at max maybe 8 pillars that you can work with, that you really want to put a focus on throughout your whole program of 5 weeks. 5 hours of television every week. Like, you have to just kind of hone it, and it's so tough with you and the talent. There's so many talent I want to see like flourish and do well, and like I'm excited about and things like that. But it's like pushing back against. You're trying to squeeze everybody in there, and everybody's getting lost in the shuffle.
And here's the thing too with Orange is he's a baby face, and he's a smaller baby face, so you can't have him up against other baby faces. Like, you know, people were talking about him wrestling Wardlow and how that was wrong, and you kind of buried Wardlow because he was having to sell for this guy and whatnot. And look, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that, you know, you've got 2 baby faces in there. It should be a back and forth situation.
One of your favorite wrestlers of all time. I agree with you on that, but you know,
I don't think he should have been put in the position where he's sharing a ring with Wardlow in the first place. They're both baby faces. Why is it happening? We've got enough people on the roster that you can get Wardlow in there with a heel. So I understand the whole idea, like, oh man, it's you know, 2 of our favorite guys are getting in the ring. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So like the fact that okay, you're in this and you have 2 baby faces in the match, I'm good with it playing out the way that it did, but it shouldn't have happened that way. If you are going to have Orange Cassidy involved in a storyline, it needs to be against intimidating heels who he can overcome.
I think some aspects of things, I kind of agree with you. I think when you do have a comedic character like Orange Cassidy is, I think you can kind of get him away with like facing a different type of baby face that's in contrast to him. So like I'm just, this is who just I thought up off the top of my head was Eddie Kingston, like friend of the show. You like put him, like that's something that could work, but it's like you want to make it make sense too. It's just like it's the problem. It's the ongoing problem of just a huge roster and making people feel important. Now this is more of a broader topic, but I cover the ratings for Wrestling Inc. every week. And so I know like it's plateaued. Like they're still, at the top. AEW Dynamite still at the top. It still, gets a great demographic rating and is good, and I'm sure like, TNT, TBS are very happy, with the numbers, but it's not growing. It's not growing. It's staying a certain aspect. Do you think, that's just the state of the business and the industry and society right now? Hey, maybe wrestling's just not, can't get to higher level? Or do you think it is the issue of if they kind of what I was just saying and you were saying too, with TV time, giving it the appropriate amount of stars, and all that stuff? Do you think that could elevate the ratings more than what they are at this point?
I think that Dom apparently knew ROH champion Claudio.
Hey, all right.
Which I'm in favor of. I love Claudio. Yes. So I think that all those fans are still there. I think that all those wrestling fans are still out there somewhere waiting for something really intriguing to happen to bring them back in. You hear Conrad Thompson talk about how he was a lapsed wrestling fan until one day he was flipping through the channels and he saw Hulk Hogan in all black standing there with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it sucked him back in, and he's been a pro wrestling fan, diehard pro wrestling fan ever since. So those people are still out there, just like Conrad was, where they've lapsed, where they're like, "Hey, the product sucks. What's this? Some new promotion?" And because they haven't been watching for a decade or whatever, they're like, "I don't know any of these people. Why am I going to watch this? Like, oh, I know CM Punk, but wasn't he like the U.S. champion? Why do I care about this guy?" So I think that you need compelling storylines, and that's what's going to bring people in. And as far as the roster is concerned, and Dominic, I gotta leave here soon. But as far as the roster is concerned, here's what I would do if I was Tony Khan, is I would find a way to narrow down my roster, and I'd do it by this method. I would go back to the heyday of like WWF, Raw. So let's say like 1998, 1999. I would watch, or I would get somebody on my team to compile a list of all of the people that appeared on Raw over the course of 1 month. So every single superstar that appeared, how often they appeared, et cetera, et cetera. And I would use it as my formula for my roster, where I would say, okay, so here's what was working, is this amount of human beings being used. And then you've got,
how much time did a top star like Austin get, or how much top TV time did a star like Ken Shamrock get? Like,
right, but then also it's like, were there people on the roster that simply weren't being used? I'm sure that there were, and then they wind up getting released. So it's like, you narrow down your roster. How many? What is the final number of individuals that got used over that period of time? And if, let's say, it's 25 people in general, okay, I need to cut my roster.
Yeah, I don't like some people losing up.
No, but look, you're not going to. You would release them, but I think you're bound by a contract, so those people will continue to get paid. But
Huh?
Are
you hearing a mic?
Hearing a mic?
Are you hearing a mic issue?
No.
Okay. Good. Now you don't. Okay. No, I'm with you on that. Yes, you don't want to see people get cut, but it's a lot of people, and you can use a formula like, a volleyball team, like I've said before, rotate people in and out, have them go away for weeks, maybe make a season, kind of things like that. If you want to keep things fresh and keep things going. Since you have to get going, I do want to touch upon a couple topics just real quick. Dax Harwood's massive babyface promo. As a father, Marcus, a new father, does that promo hit with you a little bit differently than it would say when you weren't a father?
Yes, absolutely. No question about it, because as a parent, you get to kind of see that sort of helplessness that your child has and how much you love them and how, you kind of do anything for them, make any sacrifice for them. Like when he was talking about his daughter having a hole in her heart, which by the way is a relatively common thing. My niece has or had that situation. But it's scary. It's really scary, with somebody that you care about so deeply. So it's you can really relate to it, and it made me relate to him more. And it's like, look, if the demo is what 18 to 45, there's a lot of dads watching, and I think that a lot of dads are like, yeah, it's that would be hard, and it would be incredible to watch your kid fight through that and be as strong as you want to be for them. So yeah, and to me it was great. It was about as good as it gets for a babyface promo.
His delivery was really good too.
Yes, yeah, impeccable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we kind of buried the lead here. Kind of buried the lead a little bit. Vince McMahon retired.
Vince McMahon retired.
He's out of here, man.
Yeah, that is that.
What does that mean? I guess on a smaller scale in a certain roundabout way for AEW. But what does that mean?
Hold up, Nesha's pointing out it's the same situation for moms, and yes, I didn't mean to leave the moms out of that. Yes, of course, same thoughts and feelings. That same feeling.
Parents in general. Oh man, absolutely. I mean, like
100% right, Nesha.
Mm-hmm. So okay, yeah, McMahon, hanging up the old tie or whatever. I don't know.
Suit.
I don't know. But whatever. But he's done. Reports are saying that he's completely done, creative, everything like that. I'm sure he's going to have some sort of say, and I think there's been some reports that have said that he's, will have a little bit of say and everything, and yeah, he's still watching. What does this mean for AEW, and what does this mean for wrestling, Marcus? I mean, like moving forward, it's because you look, it's Nick Khan and it's Stephanie McMahon, both as co-CEOs. It's Triple H, not John Laurinaitis, in the head of talent relations. Bruce Pritchard is still there. Kevin Dunn right now still there, but there's
John Laurinaitis is gone, right?
He's gone now.
Yes,
I think technically he's on administrative leave still. There hasn't been an official report that he's been really cut, but he's like by all regards gone.
Nesha nailing it. He hung up the old grapefruits. Dumb.
There you go. You got it.
Nesha. Well done.
That's the way to do it. Well, yeah,
well done, Nesha.
You get some airtime for that. But Mark, fucking crazy. I sent it to you and I called you and you were like, I don't believe it. He's still going to be, creative, doing all this kind of thing. I mean, from what it sounds, it's like he's not going to be there. So, and already I think people were making notes that like Michael Cole is calling it not the WWE universe, but fans. Maybe that's just like a coincidence or mishap, little thing. But nonetheless, it's just like, what are you kind of expecting from this? This could, I mean, we talk about Forbidden Door. This could open a lot of doors, not necessarily maybe super big crossover thing, but it opens a lot of doors for, hey, wrestling, including WWE, is going to be very interesting moving forward. Where do you stand on all this?
Well, when it comes to Vince, as you know, I'm really not counting out the possibility that he's just kind of quietly going to continue running things behind the scene. And
and let's be forthright too. If these allegations didn't come out, and this another big shoe is about to drop, Vince would still be doing what he'd still be there.
Yes. I will say, that in 1995, he brought in Bill Watts, and Bill Watts was going to help him kind of run some of the day-to-day of operation of the business. And Bill Watts seemed to be under the impression that he was going to be handling most of the business and the direction that the company was going on and creative, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Bill Watts quit after a short period of time because Vince McMahon just continued to do his job. And that's kind of what I see here. I think that
he's not there. He's not physically there.
You don't have to be anymore, Dominic. That's them internets. Them internets have changed the world.
I'm sorry, I'm not good with technology. So
right. I'm not saying that Vince McMahon is being disingenuous. I think he is genuinely saying like, "Hey, look, I'm done. 77, time to retire. It's over." But I think that Vince is Like, look, you don't get up and do the same thing every single day for like 50 years or whatever, and then just one day be like, I feel perfectly fine with walking away from this and saying goodbye. Nope. So yeah, that's where I'm leaving this. I think it's pretty open ended, and I would not be shocked at all if we continue to see some of the same old out of WWE. But let's pretend for a second that we don't, and that Vince is officially done. I think that things could change dramatically in that you don't have to run all creative through him, so we might get a little bit more free flowing creative going on. If Triple H is helping out a lot, he's a really smart guy and he's got a good wrestling mind, and maybe now all the ideas are running through him. So when these kids, who like are like 22 or whatever, and wrote for a soap opera for 6 months and now they're working for WWE, if they're coming up with weird ideas, I think Triple H is going to shoot them down. So yeah, I between that and the possibility of going back to PG-14, things could get pretty interesting, or TV-14 rather. Things could get pretty interesting.
I think you think about all the people that have been cut from WWE, like unceremoniously and for like really out of the blue kind of thing. A lot of those guys, like I keep thinking like Killer Cross and people that just weren't pursued, even like or Samoa Joe. I mean, I know he's in AEW now, but I mean, just like guys that are still on that free agent market, you could see them coming back in the WWE fold, maybe. And if that happens, like Triple H knows what he's doing, and he's like, I think just the position of him having to go up against a new program on AEW, like Wednesday nights, everything like that, the deck was very kind of stacked against them, especially staying stationary in one studio like thing. He's not touring live. He doesn't have the benefit of live crowds. There was the deck stacked against him, and like NXT was a better product than what WWE was putting on. Like if you're really like looking at it from stepping back and looking at it.
Here's, this week's episode of Grilling JR, the subject is Triple H 1997. And on that episode, Jim Ross talks about how in this era, he would ask Triple H's opinion about stuff a lot. And apparently so would a lot of the other talent. They'd be asking Triple H's opinion on like what they should do with their character, storylines, stuff like that, because Triple H is smart and he knows what he's doing and he knows wrestling. And he's got this like old school mentality. He was trained by Killer Kowalski. Like he's just one of these. He is a pro wrestler, and I think that he could really change the dynamic in WWE if the creative is flowing through him.
Now, are you concerned with Nick Khan and Stephanie being like co-CEOs, too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, or where do you kind of? I have my own thoughts on that, but let's get yours real quick first.
I think in general, any business, it's like the buck needs to stop with one human being. Mm-hmm. Where it's like the final say, if you've got two CEOs and one feels one way about something and one feels the other on a subject, that creates issues. So I think that it's really got to come down to like a deal breaker, like one person, his or her word is bond, is gold, and that's that. So to me, it's having co-leaders of a company is not a good idea.
I'm with you on that. And like, maybe even just from a job title perspective of it, I understand though, like, hey, maybe, you still want to keep the McMahon name in the fold of things. So Stephanie, CEO, like kind of thing. I think Nick Khan though, is just somebody that can really like, he's shown the capability to reach out to that bigger audience of what WWE's been searching for. Like monetarily wise, they've been fucking killing it. And that's because of Nick Khan. Like doing
well, he's also cut a lot of talent, which by the way is not wrong. But your numbers are going to improve when you cut millions of dollars worth of
It's a fair point too. I also think though, he definitely has a connection of sports and building it out and making it bigger into the realm of what WWE kind of should be focused on, instead of like the kid audience kind of thing they've kind of been like rotating their tires throughout the past how many years right now. So I think he's kind of broadened that a little bit. Now with Stephanie, I think she has that McMahon name. By all reports, like, talent loves her, and that she's like definitely on their side, and they really respect her. And her, Triple H together, their husband and wife, they're gonna see a lot of things eye to eye too when it comes to wrestling philosophy and how things are handled, and whether that's right or wrong or people kind of agree with it or not. At least they're still on the same page with one another, I would believe. So it's just like you have that that tag team there. You have that insight of Nick Khan combined with it. There's some potential for it to be a very positive turn for WWE. And I don't mean just from a business standpoint where we're just like, oh, they forgot about the fans, they forgot about us. I think from even now a fan perspective, hell, this is a good thing for what, all things considered. Now, will they get sold? Will they go to somebody else? And will Disney or, Netflix or some other entity that's not familiar with wrestling ultimately have the power? That's a wait and see kind of situation, and that could very much play into how WWE is positioned and executed. And so that's another aspect you have to think about.
I'm with Steven. Give it a month or two and let's see where we go.
I'm with him too. It's like it's not going to be an immediate change. SmackDown was pretty decent for what it was. What I watched about it, and it's just going to take some time to do that. So, all right, Mark. After the show, we're okay. We got StarCast coming up.
Man, oh man! Look, there's a lot going on in Nashville next weekend. Dominic and I will be there live and in person. So not only is it WWE SummerSlam, but it's also StarCast. So it's the biggest and best wrestling fan convention out there. Period. All your favorites are going to be there. So there's that. There's going to be a bunch of stage shows associated with StarCast. So some of the live podcasts of Mick Foley, Kevin Nash, Matt Hardy, the list goes on and on. So we got that going on. But then by the end of it, Dominic, July 31st, it's Ric Flair's going to walk that aisle one last time. And we will
Mark,
be there.
Where do you side on this? I mean, pulling back the curtain here, you work for both podcasts. Do you have an allegiance here?
Dominic, I really can't disclose where my allegiance lies. My allegiance lies in a successful show, Dominic. How's that?
Wow, how about that? A pure wrestling promoter fucking take right there.
That's where my interests lie, Dominic. But yeah, Nesha says she's going to be 6 hours away in Mississippi. Look, if you can make it, make it. Arn Anderson said on his podcast this week, if you knew that Muhammad Ali was boxing in his final match, wouldn't you do everything you could possibly do to be there? If you knew that Babe Ruth was about to take his final at bat, wouldn't you want to watch it happen? That's what's happening here. We know definitively Ric Flair is done after this. This is the end of his career.
Hey, never say never.
I'm saying never. I'm saying never.
You're saying this is it.
I think that Ric Flair really regretted the fact that he had to come out of retirement after the Shawn Michaels situation, and I think that he wants to be sent off in the right way. And an entire show dedicated to the Nature Boy in the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville doesn't get much better. So the old JCP set. So just so you know, this is a JCP promotion. This is Jim Crockett Promotions. They're back, and they're saying goodbye to Ric Flair. I mean, come on, man. It's a big deal. If you can make it, if you are in proximity, if you have the funds to get a flight, to get a ticket to this, you need to be there. It's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal for wrestling fans. So please go out of your way to check it out. And look, if you can't be there, there's still an option. You can go to fighttv.com and you can catch it all on pay-per-view, all the live shows. You can still see Ric Flair's last match. So look, there's options, baby.
Marcus, do you accept my challenge, by the way? I threw that out a couple times at you. I have not heard a response. I think you have a bit of limber tail.
Well, I just view that similarly to like when I'm driving my car and a fly gets in there, starts like buzzing around me. I open up the window, wait for the fly to leave. I don't actively. I'm busy. I got things to do. I don't actively swat the fly.
I mean, you can talk about me, just being a minor nuisance or whatever, but legitimately, I'm gonna fight you, and I think I could kick your fucking ass in front of everybody in Nashville.
I'll be interested to see you test that theory, Dominic.
All right. Well, I mean, there's been a lot of shit talking. Technology, that's your tag team partner. You can have technology. Bikes turned heel on me today. I fell off my bike, and now I just have books to rely on. So it's me and books versus you and technology. Potentially, if you want to accept this challenge, if you're not a fucking pussy.
Well, I encourage you to get like Mick Foley barbed wire wrapped baseball bat or something to give you some
Well,
kind of
I will
advantage.
get his biography wrapped in barbed wire.
Because look, if you come after me at any point, I will beat the shit out of you right there in Nashville, Dominic.
Listen, don't sing it. You're all bluffing, no stuff, Marcus.
Dom, that's just saying we have to do a show about it down the road. Yeah, we'll talk about our experiences in Nashville. It really, as a wrestling fan, it doesn't get much bigger. You get the biggest and best wrestling convention out there. You've got all these live stage shows, and then to cap it all off at the end, it's Ric Flair's last match. What a loaded card it is. It's Jim Crockett Promotions coming back. It's as a wrestling fan, it's going to be heaven.
Are we going to Tootsie's? Or is that going to happen? Rooftop party down?
I think, probably. I don't know. We're going to be working a lot. Hard to say.
We're going to be busy. Not only do I, we got a lot of stuff.
There's a lot going on. So, we might be able to wrap it up at let's say we wrap it up at 9 p.m. I might just be like, look, I'm fucking beat. I'm going to bed.
We woke up at 6:30. Now we're just been on our feet all day.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know. You want a picture though? What, Mark? $10, 15? Where are you at?
What?
For us? $10?
Yeah, if you want a picture with us, you stop us there on Broadway or whatever. Hey, you just buy me a beer. We'll call it square.
You know what? That's pretty fair. Fuck it. I'll do it for free. Okay. See, I set Marcus up to look like feeling this. I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it for free.
I'm the babyface.
Dominic, our other degenerate brother's calling me. I gotta go.
Oh boy! Whoa! Party down! All right, guys. Hey, you know what? We won't see you next week. We'll see you the week following on two what, Marcus?
2 Dynamite Dudes. See you guys.
All right. See you guys. Enjoy ROH, by the way, too. Wow, look at he just